Oh. Yeah, we always forget to hug Steve. Or the guy at the tech room. So with that, let us stand and sing our opening hymn, which is Let There Be Peace on Earth. It's number 3 in the Wings of Song if you want to read the notes and the words. Otherwise, the words are on the white card in the Wings of Song book. All right, so we will have an invocation here, or opening prayer. Source Creator, raise us up each and every day to feel divine love, to open to divine love, and to express divine love through us in all we do. And with that, let us sing our first hymn, which is I Live in the Kingdom of Light. I Live in the Kingdom of Light, number 50? Page 50 in Wings of Song. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Sue Brewer. I'm the president of the Board of Trustees, and it is a pleasure to have you all here. Let's start up with a few announcements today. All right, so today's speaker, thankfully at the last minute, has volunteered to fill in today, and he's not a fill-in, he's a great speaker. So Robert Aho is our speaker today, and his topic is the Spark of Bodhichitta. And that's a little teaser, so let that sink in a little bit. Also, Robert is having a mini retreat today. It's the first Sunday of the month, and he will have a mini retreat after lunch. They'll set up here and have a lovely little time together. And then we also have a guest here today, but she's going to come and speak with us in about a month. Her name is Cassandra Bachel. And if you've met her before, I wouldn't be surprised because I'm sure she's been here before. So Cassandra, you have something you want to tell us. Come on up.
Yeah. Hi.
Come on up.
Well, good morning. As you've sat down, you've probably seen there's this little handout on telepathy. So by day, I am a data analyst. I love data. I'm kind of scientific and nerdy that way. And for the month of March, I really want to kind of delve into the statistical probability of telepathy. I've had my own experiences with this, and so I have a little cohort of people that'll be doing this in March, and I wanted to open it up to the congregation to see if there's some variability too among groups that know each other, if there's some statistical interesting anomalies that we see within groups. It's something that if you participate, you'll get a gift card for your participation. There's information in the flyer. I'm going to be around for lunch, so if you have questions, please feel free to connect with me, but I really look forward to having people in the congregation participate and seeing what results come out of it. So, thank you.
And we'll probably get an update when you come back in April.
Yes, that will be my talk in April.
Sweet. All right, so there's a clipboard downstairs with paper on it. If those of you remember Vinod speaking a couple of weeks ago about the science of manifestation, he asked me to ask you for feedback. So if you have any feedback for Vinod, you can write little notes on the paper downstairs and I'll hand that to him. All right, so the community room door, or the basement door, whichever you want to call it. It was stuck for quite a while, and it was very stuck. So if you had, we had some heaving right by that door so that the cement would not allow the door to open very far. But since we had that lovely warm weather, the shifting has gone down. You can go in and out of that door, but if you do go out in and out of that door, just make sure the door closes behind you because it still gets stuck on the cement pad out there. All right. On March 30th, it's a Sunday. It's the last Sunday in March. It's also the 5th Sunday of March. We decided at the board meeting we would try to do something special on the 5th Sunday of the month when we have a 5th. This month, it is a movie called True North. And I put information in the weekly newsletter about it. So if you want to read more about it, you can do there. But it's a very inspiring movie about young kids and people working together to enhance their positivity in the world. And a small school where the kids were the worst basketball team in the league went from worst to first within 3 years. So, worst to first within a year, and then they were state champions within 3 years. So it's a very inspiring movie, and we will have a guest speaker come to introduce the movie, and she will also be around afterwards to answer any questions, and I'll do a question and answer period. We will maybe have a little cookies and coffee downstairs after the movie, and that movie will be shown at 1, and it's about an hour long. So put that on your calendars. And this Wednesday, March 5th, coming up, Sue Hall, many of you know Sue, and her cohorts are going to have a book study group here in the meditation room. I don't know if y'all knew that room over there is called the meditation room. It doesn't have a plaque on it or anything, but that's usually where, if we have meditations, larger group meditations, they can do it in there. But they're going to do it in there, and they're going to be reading about Abraham Hicks and the law of attraction. That book group starts at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. We ask that you do come in through the front door at that time, just because sometimes we have a group downstairs, so we don't want to interfere with what's going on downstairs. So you can just come right in the front door for that. And if you have any other questions, check the newsletter. Sue Hall's phone number is in there, and you can text her anything about questions that you have. I think that's about it for announcements now. And until next week's speaker is Kim Lutke. Kim Lutke. And her talk is about, so I'm retired and, what do the elderly do? So something along those lines. I probably am misreading that. But that's what she's going to be here to talk about. And as usual, I'm sure she will give us a lot of good laughs. So mark that on your calendar too. Does anybody else have any other announcements? Perfect. Yeah, so the book club that meets on the fourth Sunday, not on the last Sunday. So we fixed that in the email. We fixed that on the poster. So if you are interested in the spiritual book group that meets Sunday after church, you will, it's on the fourth Sunday. So that's why on the fifth Sunday we want to do something different. So. And it's not too late to join. All right. So with that in mind, let us read our principles. They're on the white card. All right. So, with that in mind, we believe God is the eternal source and creator of all and is present in everything. Our eternal soul, endowed with free will, grows through many lifetimes. Communication occurs between the spiritual and physical worlds. Prayer and meditation strengthen our connection to the divine. All healing comes from Source. Seeking this for ourselves and compassion for others suffering is the highest priority. Because we are all one, what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. The choice of love is always open for every soul. Living these principles leads us to grow in divine love. Now, one other thing I'd like to read on this card. You flip it over, and underneath where it says closing hymn, it says prayer for spiritual healing. So let's read the prayer for spiritual healing together. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask the great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. We put our trust in the love and power of God. With that in mind, we want to think about healing. Our healing bowl is over here. You can always put a name either physically or intentionally into our healing bowl to have prayers said over that person's name, or in case like with Annie's or Kathleen's puppy dog Jimmy, we always put Jimmy in there because he's having some mobility issues. So you can put the name of the person or the animal or whatever in our book and that are in our bowl so that will always be prayed over. And at this time, do we have people who need prayers today?
I would just like continued prayers for my friend Laura Tonkin, who's had cancer and lots of radiation every single day. I haven't talked to her this week, but it's really getting to her, and she just needs energy and love and healing. Can't believe what people go through. So thank you.
I ask, last 2 weeks we've prayed for my wife Lori, who is having severe mobility issues, hard time walking, and I just ask that we pray for her once again. I do want to say the prayers have really helped. She did say that she felt better during and after the last 2 church services. She hasn't been able to make it here, but I really want to thank everybody. It's really wonderful that you prayed and helped her.
I ask us to really, 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 really hold in our hearts world peace. It's a big deal. We know that. So let's really hold it. Thank you.
Any other prayers? Well, let's hope that everyone that is not here is feeling well. So prayers for everyone that we know that needs it. whether, whether we put it in the bowl or just say it in our head. Let's pray for them. So at this point, we're going to sing In the Silence in number 74 in Wings of Song, and after that we'll have a moment of silence, and then Robert will give us a healing, a meditation. Namaste.
Good morning. Did you notice when we had that moment of silence, you could feel something? We're connected with each other. There's just some energy that when we calm down, when we just rest, enjoying this state of being as it is, not trying to change anything, just simply resting in that moment. Let's try this again. Let's just rest for a minute or so, just without visualizing anything. Just allow yourself to be peaceful. Allow yourself to be happy. Just rest. Let's just sit here. Now, as your mind starts to wander a little bit, you just bring it back. You focus on your breath for a little bit, and then you just rest. Pay attention to your heart center. What is that feeling? What's happening in your heart center? Bring your focus from your brain down to your heart. Don't leave this as a cerebral thing. It's not. It's something coming from your heart. Now just focus on your heart. Did you notice the difference when you shifted? When you got out of your brain and into your heart? Did you feel that? Just remain there, not doing anything with your thoughts. Just let them drift past. You're focusing on your heart center. There's a light in that heart center. There's a power in your heart center. Focus on that. Just remain at ease. Feel that bright, bright energy without doing anything to it. Don't do anything. Just allow it. Open your heart. Notice this great compassion that you feel right now when you're at ease. Notice that you feel a love radiating from your heart center when you're not interrupting it with thoughts. Just notice that. Just pay attention, don't do anything with it. Allow yourself to feel that energy, that bright condition. Just remain at ease. We remain in this unaltered condition as it is. When we open our heart and mind, as we are doing here in this group setting, we're opening our heart and mind to each other. We're opening our heart and mind to all beings, all life, all the things you can imagine, all the things beyond what you can imagine. And it's very bright. The more you open your heart and mind, the brighter this light becomes. Just remain at ease for a few more seconds here. Just allow yourself to be aware without elaborating thoughts. Okay, so that's a very simple meditation that is actually paying attention to what we call bodhicitta. How many are familiar with the term bodhicitta? Okay. So a lot of spiritual communities will talk about bodhicitta, and they talk about it as if it is just means compassion or great compassion. That's partly true. Bodhicitta really means enlightenment mind. Okay, that's sort of the definition of bodhicitta. I will typically talk about it as being great compassion, but it's suffused with this aspiration to awaken. So we're not just talking about great compassion. The reason we can sort of say it's synonymous with great compassion is because when we start to meditate, when we really start to delve into our mind, which is not in our brain, our mind is in our heart center. The brain is more like a transmitter. It's an organ, okay? So when we really delve into meditation, as we did a very simple meditation, and there's this brightness that we sort of notice, this spark of bodhicitta. Our enlightenment mind is here in our heart center. Now, it is certainly great love, great compassion, but it's also this aspiration to awaken because we discover that's the most important thing that we can do, is to awaken. Now, the tendency of most people is to sort of either do nothing, don't do any spiritual practice at all, or just dabble around the edges. You're not quite sure. You're tipping your toe in the pool of water. You're not sure if you want to take the plunge. When we start to see that this spark of enlightenment mind is this bright condition, this great compassion, when we start to see that, we might decide, okay, I'm going to become enlightened. I'm going down this path. Now, really, that's the first step on a spiritual path. It doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist or a Christian or a Hindu or whatever that may be. If you decide that you are going to awaken, you start where you are. You decide to get serious. You're no longer dabbling around the edges. You're actually taking that plunge. You're actually taking that spark that you've noticed at your heart center. You're taking it seriously, and you decide to nurture that. So you nurture it by simply having this aspiration to awaken. There's a little bit of confusion in various communities. I've seen this quite often in Buddhist communities, where they'll say, well, no, bodhicitta is not the first step. I'm always saying it's the first step. That's the first step. The first step on a spiritual path is to aspire to awaken. What is awakening? It's learning who you really are. It's delving into reality. It's not about belief. If you're still hanging on to belief in any way, shape, or form, even if you have a intellectual understanding of the highest teachings, if you're still clinging to it in a way that requires belief, you're still not enlightened then, because enlightenment is bringing us beyond belief. Enlightenment is discovering this bright condition, this reality that we can't actually describe. When I call it a bright condition, if I call it source or God or Dharmakaya or whatever else, whatever terms we might use, that's not it. That doesn't come close. That's not it. Because to really understand that, you need direct experience. Now, of course, I've been here, I've given talks here several times. I speak weekly on my podcast, timelessluminosity.com. I've been invited to groups all around the world to, I've spoken in front of people who study near-death experiences, scientists from Madison and Berkeley, and I can't remember all the places, Singapore, Taiwan, all kinds of different groups. And the reason they're asking me to talk about this is because I had a really profound near-death experience. I'm actually referring to it as a death experience because even though in my books I wrote about it as being a near-death experience, it was really a death experience because I instantly became that bright light. Instantly. Boom, just that fast. Now, a lot of the time people will, when they die or they have a near-death experience, they might see a bright light at the end of a tunnel and they might go into a heaven or a hell or some, usually people don't actually go to places like a hell, but you can go anywhere that you can imagine. That's sort of in the energetic dimension. That's where our identity, our thoughts, where they sort of come from. You know, you ever have a thought where you just, why am I thinking this? This is the strangest thing. Why did that pop into my head? You know, you didn't consciously generate it. Well, we're energy. We're energy. So things can come and go easily, you know. We can pick things up. We can be sensitive to the energy around us. We can you know, actually, when you really get serious as a spiritual practitioner, you can do anything. You're opening the door to all possibilities. You discover that you don't have limitations. People who do spiritual practice become more and more sensitive. You mentioned telepathy in your upcoming talk. People with really advanced spiritual practice are, you know, people will say, he must have read my mind, or she must have read my mind. Because how did they do that? Well, we all have that telepathy. Why is that? It's because we have this spark of bodhicitta. We have that great potentiality in our heart center. And the more you open your heart and mind, the more likely it is you're going to develop psychic abilities that people can't understand. You know, when I came back from my first death experience, I had sparks coming out of my fingertips. I couldn't go grocery shopping without people looking at me like, what did I just see? You know, zip, 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 zip. And I couldn't control it at first, okay? It's like, why did that happen? Well, I had just had a very strong, very powerful experience with that condition of unlimited potentiality. Okay, so I'm not the only one who has reported that. I've discovered other people who've had that similar thing happen. You know, and it took me a little while to, okay, how do I manage this energy? Because I was, you know, it really was not something that I was doing on purpose. It was just happening. You know, I was making lights flicker and all kinds of weird things like that. And I had to manage that energy. As energy, which is what we all are, that shouldn't be considered something unusual. That's something that we try to hold it all together all the time, right? And what are we holding together? Well, it's things like that. You know, we're trying to be this physical being that we really are. You know, many of you know Jerry Quacko. He and I both, whenever we talk, we're just laughing. I talked to him about this talk that I had proposed for today, and we both started laughing. I said, well, I wanted to talk about how this spark of bodhicitta, and just tell people that that's the same, that tiny little spark, that's the same as full enlightenment. That's the same thing. We think there's a difference because we're, you know, sort of creating lots of obstructions. We're putting things in our own way. We're keeping our heart a little bit too closed, too tightly. If you open your heart and mind completely, you see that light is exactly the same as that little spark that we generate on the first day of our spiritual path. Just a tiny little spark. Why is it a spark? It's because we're trying to shut it out with thoughts, with all kinds of obstructions, any kind of a, what an obstruction is really a demon. We create our own demons. And then we feel tremendous aversion towards these demons. Instead of saying, oh, well, that happened because of the way I am. Instead of saying, well, if I had bodhicitta, if I was nurturing my heart and mind, this spark of bodhicitta, there'd be no chance that that demon could ruin your day. There'd be no chance. So the first step, aspire to awaken. Then you grow that. You grow the potentiality, this infinite potentiality of enlightenment mind until you become a fully enlightened being, a Buddha. You discover Buddhahood for yourself. You do that by always treating that as the most important thing, that little spark. If you were lost in the wilderness in northern Minnesota in January, you'd want to keep a spark. You'd want to be able to have a fire, right? You want a way to stay warm. This is the same kind of preciousness, even though it's not literally fire. It's what it is it's a tiny little glimpse of your enlightenment mind, which we all share. You open your heart and mind completely, and ego disappears. This notion of self becomes absolutely ridiculous. You discover that you have this unlimited potentiality to awaken. It's the same. That's why when you step onto the spiritual path, you nurture that. And so you start where you are. That means you deal with everything that you're dealing with. You examine everything that you're dealing with. You examine your own mind. You examine your beliefs. You examine your actions in life. You examine this person that you call self. What do we do when we create self? We latch on to identity. We have all kinds of things given to us about our own personal identity. Our national identity, ethnic, our family, our religious, you name it. We're sort of born into this, right? Okay. And then we're told not to question that. We're told to, put up your dukes and defend your idea of self. What if we don't defend self? What if we just let that rest? We discover that this entire idea of self has been fabricated. We discover that there's no reality to that fabrication. We start to see a glimpse of emptiness. Now, what is emptiness? In Buddhist terms, it's not nothingness. It just means that there's no inherent existence. So, like, for instance, if you join a club, I'm joining the 3D chess club. That makes me a 3D chess player. Okay? I just invented that. Now I'm going to defend it and say, that's my club, that's my identity. That's how we fabricate ego, except we do it millions of times. We have all these different things that we fabricate. When you open your heart and mind, your own ego doesn't really stand a chance. You have to let go. In order to take that first step on the spiritual path, you have to let go. You have to trust that you are opening your heart and mind to reality. So when I died, that first death that I wrote the book, Timeless Luminosity, with all the poetry, many of you are familiar with that. I wrote about just remaining in that condition for an eternity. And then it took me 100 years of meditation and mantras and mudras, you know, all these hand gestures that we see Tibetan monks do. 100 years to get back, and then back in my body. And I told my doctor, can we do that again? And, you know, the whole room erupted in laughter. And you know, most people don't come out of a heart procedure laughing. I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious. I'm back in this body. It's hilarious. How did that happen? What's going on here? and I was only flatlined for 5 minutes. So I mean, it wasn't in eternity. It wasn't 100 years, and it wasn't 5 minutes. Time is an illusion. You discover that time is an illusion. Okay? You discover that. So don't take my word for anything. I'm talking about you asking all the questions, you examining your own mind, you nurturing this tiny spark of bodhicitta until it envelops everything. That brightness, that's who we are. Discover that for yourself. Nurture bodhicitta. Live your life with great compassion, great wisdom, and understand that you have enlightenment mind, whether you're shut off from it or not. You have enlightenment mind. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, well, let's, at this point, thank you, Robert. That was so awesome. So at this point, I would like to have a couple of people grab the baskets, and we'll do our offering. And while we're doing that, Carol will play a little background music. Well, we're missing Jerry today. He's happily at the Benedictine Center, enjoying his time there. Well, Jean is on vacation. Would you do a prayer over the offering for me today?
Sure will. Thank you, everybody. Our collective efforts to bring benefit to all beings, including yourself and all those close to you, are multiplying today. Thank you for this offering. May we all awaken to who we really are and discover this great, bright light. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Robert. All right, at this point, we have a special person doing a special song for us today. Michael Anderson has agreed to sing for us today. I'll let you introduce that.
I have agreed to song lead this song. Those of you that got a sheet kind of recognize it. It's from On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. And I'm talking about this situation with with our speaker today. It seemed to work out pretty good. It's all about transformation. It's all about becoming the person that you are outside of this ego, outside of what you think. You're not what you think. You are who you are. And that's so much more than our thinking. So be with me here. Be with yourself. Find that voice and be able to express it and go into that place of transformation. On a clear day. On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you'll see who you are. On a clear day, how it will astound you that the glow of your being outshines every star. You'll feel part of every mountain, sea, and shore. You can hear from far and near a world you've never heard before. On a clear day, on that clear day, you can see forever and ever and ever and evermore. You recognize that? Are you ready to sing it with me? Be here, be now. On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you'll see who you are. On a clear day, how it will astound you that the glow of your being outshines every star. You'll feel part of every mountain, sea, and shore. You can hear from far and near things that you've never heard before. On a clear day, on that clear day, you can see forever and ever and ever and evermore. Well, that was sweet. Let's do that once more. On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you'll see who you are. On that clear day, how it will astound you that the glow of your being outshines every star. You'll feel part of every mountain, sea, and shore. You can hear from far and near things that a world you've never heard before. On a clear day, on a clear day, you can see forever and ever and ever and evermore. Now let me ask you, was that better? Yeah. Was it easier to sing? Yeah. Was it? Good, let's do it once more time. Is that okay? On a clear day, rise and look around you, and you'll see who you are. On a clear day, how it will astound you that the glow of your being outshines every star. You'll feel part of every mountain, sea, and shore. You can hear from far and near a world you've never seen before. On that clear day, on a clear day, you can see here forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and evermore. On that clear day.
Thank you, Michael. Always a pleasure. Now, for one of the last things we're going to do before we get in our circle is we're going to say our church affirmation. It's on the white card. All right. Church affirmation. We totally accept the belief that God is in charge of the affairs and direction of Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. As our thoughts of trust and joyful anticipation join in harmony with the thoughts of all members of this fellowship, we attract the right ministerial leadership and people to our spiritual community, and we are grateful. All right, let's gather in our circle. While you're all getting in our circle, I'll give us our benediction. Source Creator, help us each and every day to find the best expression of our soul, to be rewarded in our lives with a flow of abundance to keep us safe, protected, supported, and have all the benefits of financial security to help us to continue expressing the highest version of ourselves without fear, without worry. Amen. Let's sing, ladies and gents.